Step into the darkness where reality blurs and nightmares come alive. Living alone in a remote cabin nestled deep within the dense forest had always been my dream. The solitude, the serenity, it was the perfect escape from the chaos of the outside world. But little did I know that my idyllic retreat would soon become a nightmare beyond comprehension. It all began with the lights, strange, otherworldly lights that danced across the night sky with an eerie grace. At first, I dismissed them as nothing more than shooting stars or distant satellites, but as the sightings grew more frequent, I couldn't shake the feeling that there was something more sinister at play. The first time I experienced missing time, I chalked it up to exhaustion or stress. But when it happened again, and again, I knew that there was something deeply wrong. Hours would vanish without a trace, leaving me disoriented and confused, with no memory of what had transpired during my absence. I found myself questioning my own sanity, wondering if I was suffering from some kind of mental illness or if there was something more sinister at play. When I finally mustered the courage to confide in a friend, they looked at me with concern, their eyes filled with skepticism and doubt. They dismissed my experiences as nothing more than figments of my imagination, convinced that I was simply letting my fears get the better of me. But deep down, I knew that something was terribly wrong, and I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched, monitored by unseen eyes that lurked just beyond the edge of my perception. Desperate for answers, I began to document my experiences, keeping detailed journals of the lights in the sky and the moments of lost time. I scoured the internet for information, delving into conspiracy theories and UFO sightings in search of a plausible explanation. But the more I searched, the more confused and frightened I became. There were countless reports of similar encounters, of people who had witnessed strange lights in the sky, of individuals who had experienced missing time, but there were no concrete answers, no scientific explanations that could account for the phenomena. But the truth, as I would soon discover, was far more terrifying than anything I could have imagined. It was during one of my late-night vigils, when I was scouring the forest for any sign of the mysterious lights, that I first encountered the entity that had been stalking me for years. It was like nothing I had ever seen before, a being of pure light and energy, with no discernible form or features. It hovered before me, its presence radiating an otherworldly power that sent shivers down my spine. I tried to run, to escape its gaze, but it was no use, I was paralyzed, trapped in its thrall. Every fiber of my being screamed at me to flee, to get as far away from this thing as possible, but I was powerless to move, frozen in place by a fear unlike anything I had ever experienced. As the entity drew closer, I felt a surge of terror unlike anything I had ever experienced. It spoke to me, not with words, but with thoughts and emotions that echoed through my mind like a cacophony of screams. It told me of its plans, of its intentions to take me away to a place beyond the stars, where I would be subjected to unimaginable horrors for all eternity. I could feel its presence pressing in on me, suffocating me with its malevolent energy, and I knew that I was facing something far beyond my comprehension. I screamed for help, but there was no one to hear me, no one to come to my rescue. I was alone, at the mercy of an extraterrestrial entity that was far beyond my comprehension. And as it reached out to claim me, I knew that my fate was sealed. But just as all hope seemed lost, a strange sense of calm washed over me. I realized that I was not powerless, that I had the strength to fight back against the darkness that threatened to consume me. With every ounce of willpower I could muster, I pushed back against the entity, resisting its pull with all my might. It was as if a fire had been ignited within me, a primal instinct to survive at all costs. And as I fought against the darkness, I felt a glimmer of hope ignite within me, a belief that I could overcome this nightmare and emerge victorious on the other side. But just as all hope seemed lost, a strange sense of calm washed over me. I realized that I was not powerless, that I had the strength to fight back against the darkness that threatened to consume me. With every ounce of willpower I could muster, I pushed back against the entity, resisting its pull with all my might. And then, in a blinding flash of light, it was gone, vanished as quickly as it had appeared, leaving me alone in the darkness once more. But the encounter had changed me, forever altering the course of my life in ways I could never have anticipated. I no longer feel safe in my remote cabin, surrounded by the endless expanse of the forest. The lights still haunt the night sky, and I can't shake the feeling that the entity is still out there, lurking just beyond the edge of my vision, waiting for the perfect moment to strike again. But I refuse to live in fear. I will continue to search for answers, to uncover the truth behind the extraterrestrial terror that has plagued me for so long. And though the road ahead may be dark and treacherous, I will not rest until I have vanquished the darkness and emerged into the light once more.